George Santayana, a Spanish philosopher, has said, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." A great debate could be held about whether or not modern society has learned from the past. Whether this is true or not, the circumstances of modern society compare significantly to those of centuries before. One of the most influential periods in history, the Golden Age of England under the rule of Queen Elizabeth I, shows striking similarities to society's current situation, begging the question, are we implementing what we have learned, or simply repeating the past? In the next few minutes, you will see a few of the many similarities that modern United States culture shares with the culture of England in the late 16th century.
Queen Elizabeth inherited an independent nation so aloof from European conquest that it had not been invaded since 1066, nearly 500 years previous. England had engaged in foreign wars, but the people were unaccustomed to any domestic conflict. In the modern era, the United States has not been attacked in full warfare on domestic soil since its foundation in 1776. Elizabeth was not only a queen, but a politician. She understood the importance of lobbying for the support of her citizens. From day one, she presented herself as a citizen-friendly leader. She toured and fostered relationships with people in her nation to maintain support. After gaining the throne, she quickly dissuaded the people's doubts that perhaps she would not be a good leader by winning over their hearts.
I know, I have the body but of a weak and feeble woman. But I have the heart and stomach of a king. And of a king of England, And I think it's foul scorn that Parma, or Spain, or any prince of Europe dare invade the borders of my realm.
In similar fashion, today's politicians spend large amounts of money to have personal contact with constituents. However, instead of doing so after taking office, politicians lobby for support for months before the election.
I will never forget who this victory truly belongs to. It belongs to you. It belongs to you. I was never the likeliest candidate for this office. We didn't start with much money or many endorsements. Our campaign was not hatched in the halls of Washington. It began in the backyards of Des Moines, in the living rooms of Concord, and the front porches of Charleston. It grew strength from the young people who rejected the myth of their generation's apathy. It drew strength from the not-so-young people who braved the bitter cold and scorching heat to knock on doors of perfect strangers.
Elizabeth had to be careful about how she withdrew from England's war with France. She didn't want to make her country look foolish or cowardly, but also wanted to conserve the money and resources that were being wasted. She was compelled to strategically remove England from the conflict while striving to preserve as much dignity as possible. Similarly, the United States is engaged in conflict in the Middle East. The government wants to withdraw, but must do so tactfully in order to retain the changes that have been made and save face. Drama was an important part of life in Elizabethan England. Arguably, the most famous playwright of the time was William Shakespeare, who wrote famous classics such as Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, and Macbeth. Shakespeare's plays were popular in his time and still are today. In today's society, movie theaters have replaced the stage as the go-to source of entertainment. As a result, Peter Jackson, director of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, can be considered the Shakespeare of our time. The box office revenue for the trilogy as a whole was over $1 billion in the United States alone. Similarities between modern society and Elizabethan England even extend into the sphere of popular music. It is rumored that Henry VIII, Elizabeth's father, wrote the song Greensleeves as a love melody. Today, the melody lives on, remade by superstar Elvis Presley in his song entitled Stay Away.
The canyons high and the valleys low echo, how can you stay away?
When Elizabeth became queen, she faced major financial issues. One of the major sources of debt was the war that Mary had started with France. In order to bolster the royal treasury, Elizabeth stopped the war with France, lived with different lords instead of in her own court, and promoted trade by granting royal charters to merchants. Today, we are also faced with major financial issues. The current debt of the United States is upwards of trillions of dollars. Various solutions have been implemented over the years in the form of economic stimulus packages, rebalancing the nation's budget, and changing tax rates. A political leader's religion can send a powerful message about the ideals that leader upholds, and in most cases can affect their popularity with the people. After the events caused by Queen Mary, Elizabeth realized that the people of England would not be happy with another Catholic ruler, and as one of her first official acts as queen, declared the Church of England the official state religion. The last 4 presidents of the United States have been some denomination of Christianity, despite the large number of religions that exist today. While this may be coincidence, it may be that the majority of the people of the United States are more comfortable with a Christian president. The time in which Elizabeth ruled, the Renaissance, was highly focused on the individual compared to the stifling era of the Middle Ages. Many works of art created during the Renaissance showed not only the skill of the artist as an individual, but the potential and beauty of the individuals they portrayed. Since the creation of the United States, great emphasis has been placed on the individual. The term the American Dream was made popular by historian James Adams in his book Epic of America. He states that the American dream is that dream of a land in which life should be better and richer and fuller for every man, with opportunity for each according to his ability or achievement. The world seems to be cyclical in some sense. Those things done in the past are repeated today with small twists or changes. In the current era, we seem to be living in the modern version of Elizabethan England. Socially, economically, religiously, politically, and militarily, we are experiencing many of the same things as England in the 16th century. And the question still remains, have we learned from the past? We must perhaps answer this question for ourselves.